Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how we can obtain input from the console and then use that in our programs. So we're going to obtain input from the console, so from the user, from the keyboard, and before we can do that we're going to have to import some classes. So we haven't looked at importing classes yet, so we're going to do that. Then once we've obtained our input, we're going to use that in a mathematical expression to calculate the area of a circle. So let's jump over into Eclipse and create a new project. New Java project. I am going to call this 02.1. Again, this is just something I'm calling this project. You can call it whatever you like. So defaults are fine. Hit finish. Get our new project, and I'm gonna straight away create a new class. We're going to call this class, let me just move this down so you can see the entire dialog. We're going to call this compute area with console input. And again, I'm going to get Eclipse to create a main method for me. Okay. Now, how do we obtain input from the console? There's a class that's built into the Java development kit, the JDK, called Scanner. And that's what we're going to use to obtain input from the keyboard. However, before we can do that, we have to import the class. So the idea is that all the classes that belong to the JDK are separated into packages. And we need to import packages or classes that belong to packages when in our programs. Basically anything that doesn't belong in the package java.lang, we need to import if we're going to use it. So to import classes or packages in Java is really easy. We use the import keyword followed by what we actually want to import. And Scanner lives in the java.util package, so we're going to import java.util. And you'll see autocomplete coming up. Scanner. Semicolon. Now this is underlined in yellow because if you go over to the warnings, we're not actually using Scanner yet. So Eclipse is saying, we're not using this class, why have you bothered importing it? But we're about to use it right now. So, over in our main method, the first thing we're going to do is create a scanner object. So to do that, we have the type that we're creating, and then the name for our variable, and we're going to call this input. So we're creating a scanner object called input, and we're going to call the constructor, so new scanner. Now, the arguments to the scanner constructor is the input stream that we're going to use. Now, in our Java, we have two standard input streams that all Java programs have. System.out, which we used before to print information to the console, and system.in, which is used to read information from the console. So we give scanner system.in, and you'll see autocomplete coming up again. So we've created a scanner object, assigned it to the variable input, and it's using system.in as its input stream. Now we're ready to read in data from the keyboard. So what we're going to do is first, well, if we just sit asking for information from the keyboard, not very useful to the user of our program. So the first thing we're going to do is print out a message telling this user what to do. So system.out.println, enter a number for radius. Actually, you know what? Let's not put this on a new line. Let's use system.out.print so that the number that the user enters appears on the same line as this. So we won't put the we'll use print dot not println. So the next thing we do is declare another variable called radius, and because we can enter any number here that we like, we're going to use a double. And we're going to call this double radius. Now, where does the value for this radius come from? Well, it's going to come from the input from the keyboard, which means we'll use scanner to obtain it. Now, so our scanner object was called input, so we use input dot. And we're obtaining a double, so we use next double. And Eclipse has found that method for us. So what this does is read in the next double that appears on the keyboard and we'll assign it to our variable radius, which is exactly what we want. Now we can compute the area. So again, we're going to have another double here, and this one's going to be called area, and let's put in compute area of circle. So again, comments are nice and useful, so we probably should have put one here as well. Prompt the user to enter a radius. Now, how do we compute the area of a circle? Now, if you think back to maths at school, the formula for calculating the radius is 2 times the radius multiplied by pi. So in our case, we're going to do radius multiplied. So the asterisk is the multiply symbol, multiplied by radius, and then multiplied by pi. Now we're just going to put in the value for pi, down to a few decimal places. So pi is 3.14159, semicolon. So we're calculating the area as being radius multiplied by pi. And that's plenty of significant figures for our use. So now that we've computed that, let's print it out to the console so the user actually can find out the radius of their circle. So display output, result, system.out.println the area for the circle of radius. Now, we're going to do something tricky here. Actually, in Eclipse, we could just double click on this tab and maximize it. So I'm going to do that for now while we're typing, so we've got a bit more space. There we go. Everything else gets out of the way. We just have our code. We're going to end this string here, but not end the method. So what we're going to do, let's put another space in here, is the plus symbol, and then still inside this parentheses, so still inside the method parameters, a new line, and we're going to type in the radius, and then another plus, and then another string. So space is space, and then outside of the string again, plus area. And then finally we put a semicolon to end this statement. So what we're doing here is when we use the plus symbol in this way, we're actually doing string concatenation. So what that means is it's going to take this string, put whatever radius is on the end of it, then take the resulting string, so this, and and append this, and then finally append the area. So we're concatenating this all into one string that gets printed out to the console. So with that, let's save the program, and I'll just double click on this again to get the console back, and let's run this program and see what happens. So run as Java application. So it's asking us for a radius. So let's enter, I don't know, 5. So you notice that it's accepting my input down here in the console. Press enter, and it's calculating the area for us. So let's double check this. If we open up a calculator and type, so we entered the radius 5. So 5 multiplied by 5, I'm pressing the multiply button. You'll have to take my word for that. Multiplied by 3.14159 equals 78.53975. So that's fantastic. Our program is calculating pi using the value we obtained from the keyboard. So let's run this again. Enter a radius. Let's enter something different. So a larger number, 88.568. Now, it's calculated a much bigger number here, but if we open up our calculator again, I'm pretty sure it'll be right. So 888.568 multiplied by 888.568 multiplied by 3.14159, and we get the exact same number. So our program is definitely working, and it's using the input that we put on the keyboard. So really cool. We're actually getting input from our user now. So just to summarize this video, what have we done? Well, we obtained input from the console, and the scanner class is used for reading in input. Now, before we could use scanner, we had to import it. Scanner resides in java.util package. of the Java SDK, and we need to import that class using the import keyword. Finally, we used a mathematical expression to calculate the area of the circle and printed that result to the console. So that's it for this video. Thanks a lot.